we can look throughout history that non-partnered childless men in society tends to be the most unstable. Men who don't have a reason to behave will commit violent crimes, have a lack of purpose, and be unable to contribute meaningfully to society. And I heard famous podcaster Chris Williamson speak of this. He talks about the male sedation hypothesis. He thinks that the reason why you're not seeing a sudden rise in violence and just total anarchy is because guys are sedating themselves. They're watching porn. They're playing video games. What do you think of that? Do you think there's some truth to that?
I think Chris has been listening to me a little too closely.
Okay.
I think lifting my material. No, I've talked about sedation for going on 5 or 6 years now, and I started picking up on this when I was working with Pat Campbell back in the day.
Yeah.
And because we were sort of analyzing like school shooters, like young men and stuff, like why are they doing this, and like why are they acting out, or why aren't there more? Right? Why isn't this happening more often? There's people who asked me on several occasions about like what is it? There's hormonal birth control for women. Why isn't there hormonal birth control for men? Right? Those kinds of questions. Or why isn't there, like, if you read the stuff by what is it? Pinkerson, or no, Steven Pinker, Dr. Steven Pinker, when he talks about how we actually live in a much more peaceful society than we have in any other time in human history. It seems like we're war torn right now. But the thing is statistically speaking, from a historical perspective, we live in much more peaceful times than that has ever been in human history. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we've found more efficient ways to sedate, certainly sedate the people in general. I mean, women sedate themselves too, but like particularly men today, because men are easier to sedate, I think, especially when it comes to like sexuality, because when you look at the inherent, like, evolved sexual strategies or mating strategies of men and women, it's hypergamy, which I'm sure you've heard before. But for like, people don't ask me about, well, what's men's, and what it is unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. And there's one thing that provides that in a virtual sense, and that's porn. And so when you look at any new, I'm sure Chris will steal this at some point. Any new technology, especially media technology, any technology that can facilitate the human sexual experience will explode much more rapidly than any other technology. You want to know why Twitter is so, like, Twitter is still around and Tumblr is not? Because Tumblr banned hardcore pornography and Twitter did not. If anything that facilitates the human sexual response, especially the male sexual response, that technology will grow much faster. You want to know why, like, was it a VHS beat out beta it's because there's more porn on VHS. Same thing with magazines, same thing with photography, same thing with even like the classic. Here's my Bachelor's of Fine Arts coming back into play. Even like Renaissance, the great masters of the painters of the time during the High Renaissance, they were basically painting porn, so very rich aristocratic noblemen could stroke off, right? I mean, more or less. Same thing with, but it was to such a degree that we got it so realistic, like it was photorealistic, or you have the David, or you have like the sculpture of Greco-Roman sculptures and stuff like that. Any new technology will be taken to the logical extreme if that new technology, whether it's art or it's media or it's, could be tech like the internet, will be taken to its logical extreme if it can facilitate the human sexual experience. And so think about this. When I was Gen X, I'm going to get a little graphic here. When I was Gen X, if you could find a Playboy magazine or a Penthouse or a Hustler, God forbid you could find something even more hardcore than that, you would, like, as a teenage boy, you would hang on to that like pirate's gold. Like that was something that you could like trade that for drugs. You could trade that for like personal favors and stuff like that. And then, but like today, like, do they even have magazines? I don't know, but that kind of faded away to video, and then video faded away to the internet, and then it was just pictures, and then it became, quick little GIFs, and then it became streaming video to where we're at right now. And there's a reason why we have like pornography today is free. The only thing people pay for is OnlyFans, and that's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
But if you want, like, anybody with any 10-year-old kid with a cell phone can get free streaming 4K porn anytime they want to. And
That's
like,
crazy.
I can't even, like, I can remember trying to get Spice Channel and like the little wave, trying to crack I will turn into a cable technician, so I have to figure out how to defeat that, the bypass, right? You get creative. You like learn a new skill trying to figure out how to satisfy the sexual need, right? And so that's the same thing. That's really what I think is one of the reasons why we have such sedations. When it comes to pornography, pornography is easy. That's only one sedation. There's many other ones. Like, Chris Williamson is going to go for the sexy, easy ones to like throw out there and that are really salacious. But then there's like marijuana or prescription opioids, or maybe you're an alcoholic. The drugs are easy too, because like people get hooked on drugs, right? That's their cope, that's their crutch. Okay, what does it do? It's a sedation. You don't get out of bed and go, you know what, I'm going to go to Reignite or Men of Action or whatever, but as soon as I sleep off this hangover. Like, it's a sedation. Anything that keeps you from progressing and moving forward and advancing yourself and growing as a human being is really sedation. For women, it might be being addicted to The Bachelor, or it could be Instagram, or it might be OnlyFans, or it might be something else. Like, usually it's something that's like social media and all that is attention. There's an attention economy. If it's an attention technology, usually that's what's sedation for women. But for guys, it could be a lot of things. It can also be a mindset too. So like we were just talking about, like these doomers and the nihilistic kind of guys. It's what's holding them back. What their sedation is that, oh, it's never going to work for me. Oh, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Why would I ever want to do something like that? That mentality, that's the sedation. That keeps them from action. That keeps them from doing what it is they need to do to grow and progress. Right. And like I was saying, I know it sounds funny, but like guys will become like cable technicians because they want to defeat the porn, filters on the cable box. But you know what happens while you're doing that? You were motivated by sex, but now you've got some technical skills that you didn't know you had along the way, and maybe that transfers into something else, maybe something that comes along as a result of that. But what motivated you was the sexual response. Now, if there was streaming 4K porn back in the mid 80s or the early 90s, nobody would ever try to be a technician for a cable, right? Because why would I do that? I got it right here. Why would I do anything when I've got video games, I've got Uber Eats, I've got weed down at the dispensary, and my mindset is such that, like, I'm not going to try anything. I don't have to. I just do enough to live. I hate my job, fuck my shitty life, but I do enough so I can go home and I can play League of Legends. I go home, I only work because I have to keep the lights on, I have to keep the internet on, and I have to keep the porn coming, and I have to keep the food coming, and I have to keep the electricity going for the computer, right? Yeah. So there's never any motivation to do much else. And so I can totally, like, I can't disagree with women when they go, men don't have any motivation now, or they're men ain't shit, right? Yeah, for your generation, I'm sure they're not. But primarily it's because they can't get out of bed in the morning. And like I said, it doesn't have to be porn. It can be video games. It can be anything that's immersive, anything that's an escape. Like, if your life is, you live a shitty life, your escape life becomes better than your shitty life. And so anytime you're going to live in your escape life, or you want to live more in your escape life than you do in your real life, that's when it becomes a sedation.